Wat eet jou hond en hoekom eet jou hond dalk wat hulle doen? Wel, ons het die antwoord vanoggend vir jou, want Tracy McQuarrie van DogtownSA kuier vanoggend by ons en ons gesels natuurlik alles honde. Good morning, Tracy.
Morning.
Tracy, it's always nice to have you here because we always have so many questions, and especially today we want to speak about your dog chewing stuff, chewing the car seats, chewing the couches, whatever it is. But the big question is, why do dogs do this?
There's so many reasons dogs chew. It could be boredom, frustration. It's also enjoyable for them. It's something they enjoy to do. They would naturally do it. But most of the time we find it's because of that frustration or boredom, and they haven't got a better outlet for that chewing behavior. So that's what we always discuss things that dogs do, and I always say, try and not think of what you don't want them to do, try and think of what you do want them to do. And it's the same with the chewing. We don't want them chewing, our Jimmy Choo shoes, so let's have something that we do want them and we're happy for them to chew, and we have to give them that outlet.
It's interesting, you say they should chew, but something that they should chew.
Yes.
But I mean, it sounds very easy. How do you go about changing that behavior? Because most of us, if a dog chews, you shout, you scream, you maybe give them a whack on the boat with a courant or something as well, you shock them out of what's happening. Is that the correct behavior?
No. Well, what have you just done? You've gave the the dog might have been bored or frustrated. You've gave them some form of behavior. It's not the ideal kind of interaction, but you've shown some interest in the dog. So you've actually just rewarded the dog for that behavior.
That's very easy for you to say if your car bumper is gone. It's something totally different.
I know, but ideally what you should do if you catch them in the act is always have something that you don't mind them chewing. Remember last time we made those little toys with the bottle inside the sock, the plastic bottle? Have one of those handy so if you catch them chewing something, give them that. Have a little noise in it to distract them, to come and chew that rather. You've got to give them an alternative on what to chew. Otherwise, they will find things to chew. And one of the biggest issues is people leave, their trainers and their tackies around. Those are great chew toys for dogs. So, if you don't want them to chew your tackies, then put them away. Stop. It's a good way of teaching kids to not leave their stuff around. Barbies are great chew toys for dogs. So we've always got to make sure that we take away the things we don't want them to chew and provide them with something that we do want them to chew. But I mean, then there's couches and stuff. We can't move them away.
Yes.
But then again, we have to manage them. So if we know that when they are left alone and they have that separation anxiety and they become frustrated of being at home, we can do things like crate training or have a safe space where they can be where they can't chew inappropriate stuff. So we've got to always kind of plan, because it is a natural behavior for them to chew.
It's natural.
Yes, but the other thing I want to say is often we adopt dogs or get dogs and we think it's going to be easy, but it is such a massive responsibility, and perhaps we don't realize that it ultimately becomes our responsibility to take care of a dog. And like you would a child, teach them certain behaviors, I suppose you would also a pet. So it's not just something where I wake up and go, oh, I feel like having a dog, let's get a dog. It's not. It really is something you need to think about and plan, because you need to realize the responsibility that goes with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite important. Instead of just going, oh, this dog's naughty, I'm going to keep hitting the dog. No. You haven't taken the time to actually teach the dog the correct behavior, perhaps.
Yes.
And that ultimately is our responsibility to do it.
People seem to think that they come pre-programmed, but they work the exact same way of children. You've got to go to preschool and learn basic behaviors, and we're asking them to do things that live in our crazy human world. We're asking them to do things that are not natural to them. So we've got to show them that it is a good thing for them to do this, and we're going to reward them and give them a treat for doing something good, or give them the attention and the love that they are so badly craving for doing something good. We often forget that shouting, and that is still rewarding the dog in some way, not in a nice way, but he is getting the attention that he's craving. And what that ends up doing is he's getting the attention, so he'll keep doing it, but also that trust between you and your dog is just quickly deteriorating.
You say it's a natural instinct, but are there certain dogs that have this need to destroy things by chewing on them? I mean, I'm thinking of Jack Russells that I've had. Between the age of, well, born and until 2 years of age, they chew everything. Is that like, are there certain breeds that are more...
Terriers in general, I don't like to ever say one specific breed, but terriers in general really do like to chew. It's just part of their motor pattern, that it's something that they really crave, and it makes them feel good. And then remember, they also have teething. So, you know, in that up to 6 months when their teeth are changing, they also need stuff to chew. Like when a baby is teething, we give them those little stuff to chew, little toys. All those have been created now for dogs too, because they've realized they're going through the same situation.
So what I'm taking from this is you have to refocus the animal.
Yes,
absolutely. It's not stopping the behavior. It is refocusing the energy that is creating the behavior.
Yes, because we can't stop the behavior. The behavior is a natural thing. I always think of it like, I don't know if you've ever had like a toothache, and then sometimes if you've got a toothache, if you press against it, it feels a bit better. That kind of works with them as well. So if they do have some kind of ache or upset in their mouth, that chewing makes them feel good as well. And that chewing makes them feel good if they're feeling frustrated, if they are feeling lonely, or if they're anxious. A chewing is a really good feeling for a dog, so we just have to give them what we would prefer them to chew.
We can also do some enrichment activities, especially for if a dog is bored or frustrated. What are some of those activities?
I often talk about the dogs need a lot of mental enrichment. So, I mean, from the get-go, stop feeding your dog out of a normal bowl. Try and make that feeding time a creative time. Some of the things we've done before with the little toilet rolls. Also, you can do scatter feeding. There's lots of brain toys on the market at the moment. Try and give them other outlets of using their brain and getting them mentally tired, because I tell you, if your dog is mentally tired, more than physically tired, you're going to have a lot less issues. What we tend to do is like think, oh, the dog needs lots of walk or he needs a run, and then we end up creating this amazing athlete because he's going out for all this exercise every day, which is important, but not as important as in being able to like sniff different scents on the ground or work on toys or brain toys for him to be stimulated mentally.
Yeah, I do want to say, like, I followed your advice.
It's
so,
amazing.
Yes.
It has a definite change in an animal.
And it's brilliant. So I took the toilet rolls and I put like 2 treats in it, and I like folded the sides over and I threw it there. And at the amount of time the dog spent like playing and like ripping it apart to try and get to the treats, for example. Yeah. Or I do the scattered things
scatter in the garden,
in the garden, and they absolutely love it, and they go sniffing. And even after they found all the treats, they still sniff for a little bit. Yeah. So it really is incredible that you have that. So you don't even have to spend money in order to stimulate your dog.
And all of that will eventually lessen their mental stress and stimulate them mentally, so they'll chew less.
Yes, exactly. Or they will chew on something that you would rather they chew on, because chewing is still good for them.
It's still good for them.
So if someone goes and they adopt a dog, which we always hope for, that they adopt a dog, that's the ultimate aim, what advice would you give them from the get-go? So they don't necessarily know this dog, they don't know its behavior, they don't know its history, like the trauma that dog might have been through. What advice would you give them?
I think one of the biggest things is to understand that dogs learn through being rewarded for something that they like. We often seem to think that there's negative reinforcement and there's positive reinforcement. We're all very familiar with if a dog does something right, give them a treat. What people don't realize that they also learn from us doing things that are not nice. It really makes a horrible connection with you and your dog, in that relationship is broken and the trust is broken. So try and set your dog up for success from the beginning. So when you bring your dog home, make sure there aren't stuff lying around that they could chew. Make sure they have alternative things that you would like them to chew. Again, you don't have to buy all the expensive toys. There's lots of ways you can make toys to give them that outlet. and make sure that you are providing them with mental enrichment and physical. So it's nice to go for a walk, but again, when you go for a walk, let them sniff. That's their social media time. That's their, you know, P-mail. They're getting all the information about the other dogs.
There's a lot of people who say, if I walk with the dog, he walks with me,
No.
he doesn't stop and sniff.
No. Why would you want to do that? That's like saying, okay, we're going to go on holiday to the beach, but you must like stand here, you can't go in the water.
Yeah.
The sniffing is a huge part of a dog's life. And there's so many things. You can plant things like lavender in your garden. That is a beautiful, relaxing scent for a dog. There's so many ways you can help them with the scent. So when you're going out on that walk, that scent is so important for them. They learn so much about the environment. And if you scroll on social media for hours, you get tired mentally. It's the same for them. All that sniffing and picking up the different scents and the different information. They know that, you know, Freddie from down the road was here today. That all works on their mental enrichment and makes them more tired, less destructive.
That is really nicely said. So don't rush when you take your dog for a walk. It's not about you. It really is about taking the dog out there and letting them just have an opportunity. And be kind to your dogs.
Yes.
It's ultimately our responsibilities to teach them and help them with the behaviours we want them to have at the end of the day.
Keep that trust and build that trust. And put your phones away when you're out on a walk or spending time with your dog. Apart from when you're taking a cute photo.
In general, put your phone away.
Yeah. I see it so many times, though. People are walking and they're like this, and the dog's like, he's trying to pee and they're just carrying on walking, and he's, you know, that isn't a fun experience for the dog. If you're going to take the dog out for a walk, give the dog that time.
Yeah.
Invest that time in the dog. You will never come off short if you invest time in your dog's well-being.
Wow. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure having you here.
Thanks so much.
Dit is natuurlijk Tracy McQuarrie van DogtownSA. En onthou, kyk na jou hond, wees geduldig met jou hond en jy leer jou hond wat jy wil hê hy moet doen.